It was brilliant. Andy
Amazing.
Powell. No, it was a good week. Great.
Let's chat about
brilliant.
what the feeling is like in South Africa for the upcoming series this summer. Talk to me.
So I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm a little bit nervous, given the fact that the Springboks have not played a game of rugby since the 2nd of November 2019. What a game that was, though. But it does feel like a decade and a half ago. So we've been playing Currie Cup type rugby against South African teams for a while now. But I think one thing, having experienced the Lions and knowing the fact that it is a once in a career, unless you're Frans Steyn, who potentially has the opportunity to be the first Springbok to do it twice since the professional era, which, I mean, he was 4 years younger than me when we started the tour in 2009. So to think that he's playing it again is freaking mind-blowing. But yeah, I think our boys are ready. Jacques Nienaber, I'm not quite sure when this podcast goes up, but announces the squad on the 5th of June. So, I mean, they've been going at it for the last 8.5 months in South Africa. Not much international exposure, but given the fact that most of the players are now coming back from injury and actually playing really well, both in South Africa and the UK, and some in Japan, I reckon it's going to be a brilliant tour on the field. It's unfortunately that off the field is, where I really believe a Lions tour is made. And without the traveling fans, without the experiences with players now living in bubbles, I just don't know. I don't know how much of a tour we can call this one, Jamie.
Yeah, you're nervous of those facts. I'm actually nervous that it'll galvanise the Springboks. The fact they haven't played together, I think there'll be this energy about them that they come together. The last test match I played was a World Cup final, which they won, obviously, in Tokyo. And I'm just nervous that, Jacques, Rassie can get that group together and then they just gel straight away. I know they're playing Georgia a few times, aren't they? Am I right?
Yeah, just in
the build-up. So I doubt the Boks will play in those warm-up games, Brian, or do you think they will?
No. So I think from what I'm reading today, the squad of 35, none of those will be released to go play for their franchises just because of the bubbles and if anything does happen. So everything needs to be contained. Galvanizing is definitely one thing that I agree with you on. And just on the players, I mean, you got Dwayne Vermeulen, who has been playing phenomenally well. You got Handré Pollard over in the UK, over in France, who's come back. Yevon Etzebeth. Pieter-Steph du Toit has been laid off for about, I think, 9 or so months and just came back 3 weeks ago and is playing phenomenal rugby. Got 2 Man of the Match awards already. Showed why he was Player of the Year in 2019. So I agree with Jamie on that. Just again, preparation against galvanization. It's going to be an interesting mix-up.
Brian, tell me, were you a little bit worried now when Colby came off over the weekend? Now, I know he subsequently went back on, but at the time, did you get a bit of a fright?
I did. I think seeing how Cheslin's been lighting up the fields all over the world over the course of the last 2 years, his try went on to be named Prime of the Season. He was probably close to being in that final group of 5 as a Player of the Season. So yeah, he's a guy that I think, as much as Elwyn Jones shows that age defies not much for him, Cheslin defies that size does not mean anything, and he has been, along with Anton Dupont, I think one of the most enthralling, exciting players in world rugby over the course of the last 2 years. And there were many as South African, I'm not going to lie to you, that had their voices held back for quite a bit, but it was good to see him back in the field. And much like 2019, I think he got injured against, was it the quarterfinal against Japan, and then didn't play this against Wales and came back for the final with a bit of injury. So I definitely even take a 85% Cheslin Kolbe at the moment because he is just phenomenal.
Do you think that Kolbe is one of the players that might hold the key to beating the Lions team this summer?
I don't think so. I think he'll be someone that will provide a lot of X factor. I think having played against the Lions, having seen the last 3 tours in particular, the upfront battle amongst the pack is where things do happen. I think Cheslin, given the experience that he's now gained over the course of the last 2-3 years since becoming an international player, his resounding ability over in Europe to come up against the best will definitely help him. But I think for the Springboks, it's going to be up front. And I almost want to say, much like we saw in the 2019 final, that was where the game was won and lost. We saw some brilliant tries scored by Cheslin and Makazole Mapimpi. but it was the likes of your Eben Etzebeth, your Peter Steph Toys, your Dwayne Vermeulens, Bongi Mbonambis, Sia Khaleesi's, the France Stains, the big boys, Franz Malherbe, those guys doing something phenomenal. So yes, X Factor, as we saw in 2009, Jamie, Joffrey, making the difference there. But I think the pack is going to be where the engine room probably dictates this tour.
You know what? I agree with you, but I also think that the Lions will go over there and their game plan, come the tests, will be do not let Colby have the ball in space, because that guy doesn't have to touch a ball all game, and then he gets the ball once in the 70th minute when the stakes are at the highest, and he can turn the game on its head. So as much as he's saying he's the sort of player that won't have the impact, games that won and lost up front and the set piece against the Boks is everything, but man, they don't shut that guy down there on the hard grounds of South Africa. He can cause the Lions a huge amount of problems. Best player in the world at the minute for me.
Ooh, better than Anton Dupont.
Different positions, different qualities, but guy's an absolute freak. And you talk about defying size in the game. Like we had Shane Williams did that for years for us here in Wales.
Exactly.
Shane was half the size of everyone else, but Cheslin Colby is probably 3 times as powerful as Shane. Like the guy can run into contact and knock forwards flying. He's one player.
The past weekend as well, where he ran back and
I did,
incredible defensive effort, 80 meters and still won the turnover. And I think that comes from the 7 skills that he's learned. He's had to become physically, stepping up to the plate from a 7's perspective, which has been brilliant. So I don't think he's not going to have impact. I think he's going to have an impact, but I think the basis of the tour is definitely going to be the physicality. If the physicality is anything from 2009, that second test at Loftus, I think it's gonna be a pretty big one, eh?
But we're 12 years down the track, Brian. So players have got fitter, faster, stronger. The game has changed in the last 12 years. Certainly, S&C has changed. I know that was a physical game and probably one of the most physical test matches ever. But mate, this test series is probably going to be another level again. Yeah,
100%. No, I agree with you. I can't see it not taking a couple of leaps in, but I think the physicality, and if the law changes are very different. I think 2009 might have been very different if we were playing 2021.
There'd be 10 red cards. There'd be 10 red cards on that second set of Loftus. Jesus.
Easy.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think again, preparation is I know Warren Gatland's probably going to have a little bit more time on his hands together with the squad. But I know these Springboks are chomping at the bit just to get back, playing in that Springbok jersey and representing the country again, because it has been a very long 18 months, since that World Cup victory.
Well, Jamie, you just kind of touched off it there. You mentioned how the South African team that you played against in 2009 were kind of one of the most physical teams to have ever played in the game. So do you think that the squad now matches them for physicality?
Yeah, without a doubt. When you look at the Springbok pack, you always know the set piece is going to determine field position most of the time. And, certainly the breakdown, like the Boks, you don't match them there, you got no chance. So, when I look at that Bok pack now, and, Brian's already rattled off a few of the names, especially the back row. And I do you know what? I think quite a few players from the Premiership will get named to that squad on the 5th. Look at the Dupree brothers in Sale. Jasper Viesta's another one at Leicester, who's playing brilliantly. So, these guys, they just keep coming off the production line, don't they? These back rowers who can just batter people. That this pack they have now is formidable. It won them a World Cup, especially the bomb squad. Their ability to put 5 forwards on the bench and come 60 minutes. Imagine playing a test match and you're absolutely blowing, and come 60 minutes, you got these guys coming off the bench. It's it's pretty daunting experience for an opposition forward. So it's going to be no different this year.
Jamie, can I ask, how do you think Gats prepares for that? Obviously, you've seen what happened with Eddie Jones, and that England squad in 2019. He'll be very wary. I don't think Jacques Nienaber will potentially go for the 6-2 split potentially, given that it is up in Joburg, 2 of the test matches, and again you might need a lot more. But do you think?
So tell me now. I thought that changed, Brian. I thought it was going to be Joburg, Cape Town, Joburg. What is it now? Yeah. Cape Town, Joburg, Joburg.
No, it's still Joburg, Cape Town, Joburg. If I have my,
do they go back up?
Right? Yeah, I think they do go back up and down. But I'm saying 2 of the test matches are up, much like 2009. you know, physically, do you think the Lions pack will be able to front up to the Boks like they were in 2019?
Yeah, I do. And I think there's some players, look at lads like Tom Curry, boys like this are very, very physically capable. It's just when we, if we reflect on 2009, we played, none of the Boks played in the matches leading up to the test matches. We thought we prepared really well. We were unbeaten. We were unbeaten in those matches coming to the test matches. And then bang, we got battered in the scrum, if you remember, in Durban in that first test match. And so, you can't fall complacent. You think you're going well on tour, and then, the amount of scrum pens in that first test match in Durban, contributed hugely to us losing. So how does Gats prepare for it? Just hopes his top players are fit, I guess. I hope they've played good rugby in the Premiership, keeps them fit, make sure he doesn't lose too many to injury. Not that you've got too much control over that, but I think he has the artillery to match the Springboks physically. I really do.